we're talking about all your singing, but people don't really talk about your songwriting, ma'am. And I'm interested about that and interested to when it was it instant that you were writing your songs? Was it gradual? Like,
my journal started when I was 12. My mom, brother, and sister gave me a diary for my birthday when I turned 13. And I just began writing. Those writings began to be poetry. That poetry became music eventually. And I've written, I think I've had maybe 8, 9 singles, maybe 10 singles. I've written probably 8 of those 10 singles.
Right.
I wrote It's All Right, Love's Taken Over, and Old School Love, and I've co-written. So yeah,
I mean, nobody can write Chante's Got a Man, but Chante.
Well, with Jimmy and Terry, you can, because they're really good at pulling and helping to navigate and to cultivate who you are as an artist. I think that's what makes them so good at production, because just like the Janet Jackson story, how she didn't know she was writing songs, but she was just talking about herself and saying, you know what, my dad is, he's controlling, and my mother, does that. And then they go, okay, so control, what?
Right.
And you lose your mind because they're listening to everything. And I just saw Jimmy literally night before last and was complimenting how kind he is, and how people were saying, oh, they told him that he wasn't going to be able to get this Michael Jackson clearance. And he said, and then I met Michael, and Michael was like, I heard about your kindness. Jimmy Jam was saying Michael Jackson heard about his kindness. And then he was like, yes, you can have the sample to that song because of his kindness. And it really is something that if you meet, well, you all know Jimmy, he's amazing. And he makes you almost forget that he's freaking Jimmy Jam. And you're like, Jimmy, you're like, no, you're talking Jimmy Jam. I lose my mind and I turn into a fan every time I'm around them. And they actually co-wrote the song I wrote. I walked down the aisle to Stephen, my husband. I co-wrote that song with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. And it was a secret. It was the only time I've ever lied to my husband. I told him I was with a friend, one of my girlfriends, and I wasn't. And I was like, you all can't tell him I'm with you tonight. Because they were like, Terry was like, just tell him you're just in the studio. I was like, there's no reason I'd be in the studio before our wedding unless I'm writing the wedding song. So he didn't know.
He appreciated that.
What was his reaction to it?
He thought it was an old song that he had forgotten.
Oh, wow.
He didn't know because Jimmy made sure he put the refrains in that sounded Force MDs, Janet, SOS Band, he put all that in there. So it sounded familiar, but it wasn't an old song. It was a new one. So it's coming out soon. I am literally the squeaky wheel that keeps going and squeak, 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 squeak. We need to get the song out like immediately. So it's a beautiful song.
At what point did he realize like, oh, wait a minute, you it's a bespoke song. Like this is custom made for
honestly, sadly, after the wedding. I wanted to play that song again to slow dance with him on one of our first songs. He had a first song to dance to, and I was supposed to pick the second song for us to dance to. And he's going to hate that I'm saying this out loud. But he was like, no, that one song was good. Let's just let the rest of the thing. I was like, okay. So I was a little bit hurt because I didn't know that he didn't get it, that it was a fresh new song written just for him.
Right.
He just knew it was a Chante song and I was singing it. And he was like, I was so busy looking at you that I wasn't listening.
Oh,
as much. No, he's a
nice comeback.
He tried to flip it. Yeah.
No,
right?
no, that was before.
But did y'all slow dance to it in the living room finally? And he listened. And y'all was
girl, listen. You don't even want. I can't even say it.
Okay, that's fine. I got it. I got imagination.